Hello, everybody. So, I had that issue with my Rhino file sizes becoming gigantic, and I had been using the same Rhino files, just kept updating them and updating and updating, but my template started back in the Rhino 4 days. So, I went and created clean files in Rhino 7 and updated all my geometry. And one of the things was to update my blocks. So this is the way that my old block looked. And it always feels messy having this many mesh wires on something. I'll switch over to ghosted mode. So I really wanted to make clean blocks that were easy to see through. And at first I thought polysurfaces. Just do polysurfaces so you didn't have all of the, this facet is one facet, but over here it's triangulated into 4, right? So at first I thought polysurfaces was the answer, so I made all my blocks as polysurfaces, but guess what? That every snap, I intentionally don't work with vertex checked. I have it on a quick menu here where I can do a one-shot for a vertex snap, but I don't keep it on all the time for the same reason I don't keep center on all the time. That's a one shot snap. So when this became polysurfaces, every end, near, point, mid, like all of these were popping on me, and did not like that at all. So I just finished doing all of my blocks. I have one left to do, and that's the marquee here. And I want to use a lot of buttons like I usually do when I'm modeling, but I have modified them a lot. So this is down in the video description. So look at this 3D face here. Okay. That I'm going to copy that just to make sure, because I did a bunch of stuff earlier. Let me get my mesh toolbar out. Okay. So this guy. Yeah, okay. Some of these options are sticky, so once you set them, they stay there. But every time I call this 3D face command, this stuff in the video description, like AlignVertices, I'll double check to make sure that one is the same. Yes, that one is the same. Okay. So right now this is a polysurf, and I'm going to turn everything off but this gem here. And the first thing that you need to do is figure out your axes of symmetry. So this is pretty simple. There's just one, or two. There's two. You can mirror it this way and you can mirror it that way. So what I want to do is switch to a top view here, and I want to go to dupe border or dupe edge, excuse me. Dupe edge, and just grab these curves. Looks like I didn't. Let's do a window select where we get all of them. Okay. I'm going to do that and get these curves. And then while it's like this, I don't know if all of these are degree 1, 2 curves, but I want them to be. So I'm going to say rebuild. And I'm going to just make, yep, they were all, point count 2, degree 1, 1, 2 curves. Just to make sure for when we get to the next part, if this had 2 points in it, then it would snap to half of it and not the whole thing. So this is what we are recreating. And before I delete that, just check. This looks like one facet. And that is one facet. And that is one facet. Is that right? This whole thing is one facet? It does look like it. It looks fairly planar. We'll check. So I'm going to delete that again. That needs to go and that needs to go. And then on this bottom was that one facet. No, it can't be because the stone turns around right there. It can't be. Same thing here. That can't be one facet. That is a kite facet. That is a kite facet. This is a triangle. There's a kite. The way that we can check to see if this is planar is we draw another line between here and here, and then we check and see if they intersect. So we'll just run the intersection command, object intersection, and we do get a point there. So this is one large facet. Okay, so we're going to delete that. And then step one is to take a simple triangle and create a planar surface. Okay, once you have that planar surface, I need to turn lock history off and flip that, and then call mesh. Okay, no matter what your settings here, this is a planar triangle, so it should come up with one facet, and that's how you start building. In this command, 3D face, I say I'm going to output a mesh. I want to append faces to a mesh, and pause here to select the mesh to work with. And then I'm telling it Ngon. So I'm not going to be limited to having a triangle with 3 sides. As long as it's planar, it can have as many sides as I want it to be. That's the N in Ngon. And from edge, I find that is a convenient way to work. And after you do one edge, it resets. InPlane, no, because I'm going to be snapping in 3D space. The WeldAngle set to 1, and multiple faces. So when I finish adding a face, don't quit the command, keep going. And it's kind of a wonky command. It takes a little while to get used to, but I'm going to select that. That's that little pause. And then you pick an edge. And then the first time you have to pick the edge twice, and then you can start snapping. Now, I do not want near, point, I just want end. So I'm going to clear all of my O snaps except for end. And I also want to turn Smart Track off for this. I don't want any auto-computed edges being created for me. And then from there, we can go to there. And then from there, we go to there. And I'm not adding these in. I want it to be clean, not so much accurate, if that makes sense. I want to be able to look through the stones and not see a bunch of stuff, but yet when you go to render it or show it to a client, you can turn on mesh wires and see some stuff that makes it look more like a gem, while not having the burden of carrying all of that geometry in here. So snap there, right click, grab that edge, snap, snap, right click, grab that edge, snap, snap, right click, grab this edge to that point, and then this is probably one face here, and then from that edge down to there and there. We can do this one while we're here before we go to the bottom. And at any point, if you feel like you might have lost the thread, you can right click and finish the command and take a look at what you've done. So we can take and grab all of those curves and delete them now. All of these curves as well. And you can look at it and see how things are going. So right now, this is a mesh wire. If I turn mesh wires off, those disappear. But we'll grab this and run the command again. And the first time you run the command, you have to click the edge twice to get it going for some reason. That's okay. We'll just do, we'll just go with it. Okay, so once we get to this point, I'm going to select curves and delete them, and then we can mirror this around, and I've got this set up to mirror across the X, mirror across the Y, and then group the output. So I'm going to right click there and do those two mirrors and undo the group. Make sure I have lock children off and then join that together. Right now I have perfect seams, but this is the point where you might have, here, let me undo that to show you what can sometimes happen. I'm going to turn the points on for this, and we'll just grab those two, and I'm going to move it down -0.001. Actually, I need to do half of that for my tolerance, so I'm going to add another 0. Okay. Now, do that again, ungroup, join, and now you get this red line. That's what AlignVertices does. It's going to look at any vertices that are within that. That's why I added an extra 0, so it would be within that tolerance. It's going to go ahead and align them together so that they will actually overlap and get rid of that red line. So that's what the AlignVertices does. So I'm going to say OK and run that command. And now you can see that that's back to a closed seam. And from this point, you just, I mean, there is symmetry here, but, oh, did I click the wrong button? This guy, that's my mesh, FromEdge. And now I want to switch from end snapping to vertex snapping. So I can grab these vertexes, and I got to be careful that I'm clicking the right one, because you can click something on the underside at this point. So just be careful as you're picking around that you do get a clean click on the edges. This is a weird command. Like, it's hard to see. It's not giving you very good feedback. You can cancel it, or end it, not cancel it. You can end the command and get it to show you where you are if you get lost. It took me a while to figure out how to make this thing work, because it's not, well, I don't know anything about meshes. I know the basics. I don't know a lot about them. So it may be intuitive for somebody that works with meshes all day, but that is not me. Okay. And you can see as soon as I finished that command, this changed color, which is part of my display setting that tells me that this is now a closed mesh. So I can tell that by the color change. I don't have to run show edges on it to actually see that it did it. So I'm going to turn all this other stuff on, and I'm going to hide this construction for the rail. You know, this is part of my join copy routine where I get that shape in case I ever want to edit it later. And then once I have it to here, I'm going to call purge, get rid of any extra layers, textures, whatever else might be hiding in the file. And then I'm going to save small, and I'm overriding the poly surface version of this. Make sure I didn't hide anything. All objects are being displayed or are on a hidden layer. So that is correct. All right, and that is how you make a nice clean block. I normally don't work with mesh wires on, but when I want to put it into kind of a display mode that hides all of my construction curves, I do have mesh wires being shown here because, you know, depending on how the lighting in the scene, this just looks better when I'm showing a customer what's going on. So that is it. That's all I wanted to show. And I almost wanted to record this just so I would remember in the future how to do this. You know, as far as making these gems yourself, I got these from Greg. He has a gem cutting program that figures out all of these facet angles and everything. I modified them quite a bit. Like you saw, I didn't have a variable thickness on this on the girdle. I didn't let the thickness vary. I also used a step, a faceted girdle rather than a smooth one, because it's easier. It's easier to deal with. So I don't want to get into how to do this. It's kind of difficult making planar surfaces that have four sides. It is unreasonably difficult to make planar surfaces with 3 sides. I don't know of a good workflow for that, but you're on your own where that is concerned. So now that I've updated all my blocks, I will, here, we'll just do this real quick. I will go ahead and update. And I'm going to put this all into the, my GitHub repository by the end of the weekend. So you can download the GitHub repository and it'll say updated today. If it doesn't say updated today, I haven't done it yet. Update now. I'm actually going to need to update all of these. So I'm going to go into Block Manager and it says all of these are up to date. That does not seem likely, but that oh, let's just grab that marquee. Let's grab that marquee. Oh, I know why. I want to change this. I'm not liking the way this is working. All of these I want to make embedded and linked. That was the other thing I was going to do. Properties, embedded and linked. Properties, embedded and linked. So you have the option when you double click it to edit the source file or edit the version of the file that's in this document. You can choose. So I'm going to change all of these, and the brilliance should be that way to begin with. All of the brilliant cuts. Embedded and linked. Baguette, that needs to change. The Asher cut needs to change. And the antique cushion needs to change. And I did make a script for this at some point. One of these, update all blocks. So block manager, update all, enter. I can do that. Block manager, so it won't give you the GUI because I put a dash in the front of it. I'm going to say update all. Now that's done. Tell it okay. So this is my template file. I want to reset all my viewport layouts, left, top, front, perspective shaded, because I have these others in here that I can switch to if I want to see the bottom. There's another viewport hiding behind the top viewport, so I can switch to a bottom view real quick. And for whatever reason, Rhino does not. You'll save it like this, you'll open it up, and it kind of prefers the hidden one to show when you first come in. So I have another button to reset that back to the way it should be. So I'm going to say this layer does not need to be there. I'm going to say save small, and that will save out into that GitHub repository. Everything in shared is going into the GitHub repository. And then I say file, save as template, and then update this file. Yes, and that's done. All right. So that's it for this stream. I do want to mention that some of the issues that I've been having with join copy, not remembering where the seam is and where the direction is, I finally got a feature request that I got Miko to look at. He knocked it out in a week. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in Rhino 7. It is in the latest Rhino 8 whip. So I'm probably going to move to the Rhino 8 whip because I really want that. They say it's a feature enhancement. I thought it was a bug, but I really want that new functionality that will remember where the seam is on a joined copy. So I'm probably moving to Rhino 8 It feels a little early. I still see bug crashes on the new layer panel, and they put out a thing the other day that you should save a version 7 copy of all of your files, because the version 8 file structure may be changing, and you might have to, and when it changes, it's not going to let you open an old version 8 file, which is kind of scary. So it feels a little early to move to V8, but I really, really want that functionality, so I may be doing that soon. Anyways, like I said, I stream this mainly so I haven't had to do this in 10 years. So 10 years from now, when I need to make clean blocks and I wonder how in the heck did I do it, that's what this video is. But in case somebody else will get some benefit out of it, I figured just record it to YouTube. That way everybody gets it. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.